took the time to go up on the church and let's see, yeah, and set my camera up. I was going to do a time lapse of the folks coming in out of the parking lot because last time we did a drive-through food pantry, there was a parking lot full of folks, 3 lanes wide, and it was just a flurry of activity. Today it was much more spread out, much more relaxed. Folks just came in 1, 2, or 3 at a time, and when we didn't have the rush that we had last time. So good morning, Miss Jeannie and Miss Cindy. I can see that you two are watching. There's a couple other folks watching, but I don't see names attached to them at this point. But I wanted to give folks a chance to jump in on this here before I started my topic for the day. So I didn't get a whole lot of good footage. There's just a whole lot of empty parking lot on what I aimed at trying to get a little bit of a time lapse there. Good morning, Miss Shelley. Glad you're joining in with us today. So I've been in my own personal Bible study. I go through a devotional called Streams in the Desert. That's the one that I do each evening. In the morning time, I do Rick Warren's purpose-driven email devotional that he sends out every day, and in the current temperature of our society, and visiting with some of my church members this morning and some of the clients that came through for food pantry, it occurs to me that we're just about due for a change in perspective. It seems as though the perspective that we have had over the past couple of months is wearing thin on us. And so it is time for us to look at things a little bit differently. And I want to draw your attention to a couple of things from the Word that maybe will help us do that. The Old Testament description of the tabernacle, the place of worship, the place where God more or less made His presence known among the children of Israel when they were wandering in the wilderness. That tabernacle, before the temple was built, they had this tent, this dwelling that was specifically made. God gave specific instructions as to what it was supposed to look like. But it was made to be taken down and moved as the Israelites would have moved from place to place, wandering through the backside, through the wilderness in their time between leaving Egypt and taking the Promised Land. The tabernacle's specific instruction to be built included some ornate, valuable, costly type stuff on the inside. But the outside of the tabernacle was made of badger skin. Badger skin would not have been supple, soft, or attractive. It would have been rough, and it would have been something that kind of blended in with the rest of the wilderness. From the initial look, it would have looked like just a big old tent. But to go inside and see what God had them put in the tabernacle, that was to remind them of worship and to remind them of Him, was a completely different perspective than just looking at it from the outside. We're going to get back to the idea of perspective in just a second, but I'm reminded of where I'm sitting because Miss Jeannie said the kids think it's funny that you're in their Sunday school room, and I am. I have set up camp this morning to do this video in the 4, 5, and 6-year-old Sunday school class, what I call the littles. This is the place where they have Sunday school because sometimes I need a little bit different perspective too, and to look around this room, to see the walls of this room, and to sit in this tiny little preschool-sized chair that I just barely do fit on. I hope I don't break it while I'm here. To have the crayons here changes my perspective. putting myself in a different place, changes my perspective too. It's like the change in perspective that I get when I slide out of the brown chair when I'm studying at the house. I have that brown chair that I study in at home. It's like sliding out of the brown chair and onto the floor. There's a change in perspective in my spirit when I'm not studying in the brown chair, but I'm praying on the floor. It's two very different meetings with God there, right? Very close in proximity, but very different perspective. Being in this room helps me have a different perspective and to talk about the perspective that needs to shift maybe for us right now. To see the tabernacle and it's covered in badger skin would not have given a clue to what was on the inside. The word also says that where man looks at the outward appearance, God looks at the heart, right? It's hard for man to see into someone's heart. It's hard for us to know someone well enough to know what is in their heart. And so sometimes we have to watch from different perspectives to see. Preachers are oftentimes at a disadvantage there because a lot of people only want to show a preacher or a pastor one side of who they are. And so it's not easy to see people from different perspectives. But we do have folks in our life that are genuine with us all the time. I have a lot of folks here that are, and I so appreciate them. But I'm wanting to get to a point here, and I'm rambling a little bit. Jacob, I promise I will try not to break the yellow chair since it is your favorite. And I am sitting in the yellow one, one of the yellow ones today. So to know someone else's heart, not to just look at the outward appearance, but to know someone else's heart, you have to really know them, right? The one person I am fully confident that I know their heart is Melanie. I am convinced that I know her heart like nobody else's. Not that I know everything that she thinks, not that I know her perfectly. I don't mean to lead you into that, but I am convinced that I know her heart in this. I listen to her pray. I hear the things that she prays for you as a church. I hear the things that she prays for my children, the heart she has for their good, for God's plan for their life. And I hear the way she prays for me. And that shows me her heart. If you want to know what someone believes, listen to them pray. Listen to them worship. They'll tell you what they believe. But for us to be able to see one another, to see our current circumstances, to see this world from a different perspective, maybe you need to spend some time in this room too. Maybe it would do you well when we come back to worship together here in a few weeks, to pass through this room and look at what's hung on the walls about the fruit of the Spirit and about Jesus loving me and about creation and the staples of our faith, the Bible stories that are the foundation that we are built upon, might help us change our perspective. Be careful of looking at the outward appearance of anyone or anything, because the outward appearance is not what's on the inside. Always wanting to see what God sees, being able to see from His perspective, helps us to get through difficult times. It helps us to know one another better. It helps us to love this world and bring His kingdom here. I don't know where you'll go for a different perspective, for a change in perspective, but I encourage you to go and find that place. It may be as close as right around the corner. This is right around the corner from my office, right? It may be that you just take a drive and recognize the beauty of what God has given us this time of year. But allow your perspective to shift away from what seems like an unending news cycle of bad news. Allow your perspective to shift from all the stuff that is around us, that is tearing us and dragging us down. And allow yourself to have the perspective of looking maybe back into the Word and toward our Creator, toward our Savior who loves us so dearly. I hope that's an encouragement to you today. I hope that you have a fantastic Thursday and that you know until the next time I get to see your face, I'm praying for you and I sure do love you. God bless you. Have a great day.